Hello, welcome back to Halifax. My name's Lorene. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. I'm just back from 10 days in Amsterdam with my family, extended family, my eldest, Autumn, their partner, Brian, my daughter, Phoebe, their partner, Zachary, and husband, Steve, and myself. So all six of us just were in Amsterdam for 6 weeks, and we've been planning this for over 3 years, I think. So we had a blast. We had a really good time. Everybody got sick at least once, and I will talk about it a little bit more at the end of the video. I think what I'm going to do, I was going to try and merge things, but I think what I'm going to do is do my booktube stuff like usual, and then I'm going to try and upload, hopefully on the same day, the footage from Holland, because I've already I did this whole video once and forgot to turn on the microphone, so all the sound was gone. So I think I'm going to just divide and conquer in case uploading the stuff from the phone to this device turns out to be a disaster. Then it won't harm this video. So look for 2 videos this week. Well, on a book front, it was an interesting 10 days. I found 2 books that I really would like to recommend to you. The first one is My Friends by Fredrik Backman. And this is the author who has written A Man Called Ove and Anxious People. I've read both of those and really enjoyed them. And I also really enjoyed, I think it's called Brit Marie. Brit Marie was here. I'm positive about that. Yes, Brit Marie was here. Some people found that one really depressing, but I found it hilarious, and which only goes to show that senses of humor can be sporadic or pretty disparate. So this book is about Louisa, who is a young girl being raised in foster care, and she has a friend called Fish, who they were not really children together. They found each other more or less sort of early teens and were able to stay in foster care together until Fish aged out, and Louisa is just a little bit, about 6-9 months younger. So what's happened is Fish has left foster care system, and things have happened, and Louisa has run away from foster care. And the 2 of them have a postcard that has a piece of art that Louisa is just like it's her heart's desire to see this painting and with Fish. And she makes a plan, and things just don't go through because somewhere along the way impulse happens and she forgets to follow the plan. So she gets to see this painting, and it's one that speaks to her soul. It's not just about the scenery, it's about that moment. Sometimes you come across a painting or a photograph where the world just kind of stops for a couple of seconds and you just go, yes. And it's not just a little yes, it's like this great big humongous yes. And so that's what this painting is to Louisa. So she goes to go see this painting in real life. There's been an art exhibition and the artist is supposed to be there. She's not that interested in the artist. She mostly just wants to go see this painting. So as I say, the plan goes a little bit wrong. The painting has three young people. It's a pier, and there's the ocean, and the 3 people on the pier are very small, and in proportion to the rest of the painting. And Louisa sees what's the intention around those 3 human bodies, and so for her it speaks at an emotional, at a sort of a cellular level, and it's about friendship and her friendship with Fish. And we also get to see the painter's backstory, who was also struggling as a child and becomes this world famous painter, and his friendship. So this is a book about friendship, and it's gorgeously written. There were so many beautiful lines. If I was the kind of person who did little bookmarks or underlined or something, I would have been constantly finding sentences and descriptions that were really, really powerful. It is about friendship, and those of you who've been watching for a while know that my dearest friend has just died, and so I could not read this book. I had to put it down. I wanted this book to be about something else. I should have known, pick up a title like that. I should have been thinking, but I wasn't. When it came time to buy books for this trip, I was just not very well focused, and I didn't have a game plan. So it was very much just an impulse buy. So I had to stop reading at about page 55 because I just kept crying, and I thought, well, this is not good. I'm on vacation. I'm crying in the bedroom. The kids think something's wrong. Well, something kind of is, but it's got nothing to do with the trip. So I need to stop reading this book. And so I picked up the second book, and by the second page, I thought, I've read it. Can you believe it? I'm in this bookstore here in Halifax, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of books to choose from. I chose it because it had motorcycles that looked like an adventure. It's some kind of women up to no good. If there's a plane and motorcycles, there's got to be shenanigans. And I read this about 10 years ago. And I really, really liked it. It's not that I don't recommend this. So it's the Hazlebourne Ladies Motorcycle and Flying Club by Helen Simonson, who also wrote Major Pettigrew's Last Stand, which I either read or heard as a BBC adaptation and really enjoyed. So I was fairly certain that I would enjoy it, and I was right. I was just 10 years ago. So I took this book all those thousands of miles across to Amsterdam to not read it, because I'm going to take it back. They know me at Bookmark. I'm pretty sure I can get a credit or make a trade or something like that. However, I completely recommend it. I think it was a really charming book, and I would have really enjoyed a reread of it, but since it wasn't from the library, I thought, no, I want to go get my money's worth and get a new book. The third book that I took with me is Les Mannequins Maléfiques in French, because Ryan and Phoebe and I are doing sort of a book club thing. It is by Pierrette Dubé and Ninon Pelletier, and I do not know who's the writer and who's the illustrator, but anyway, I couldn't find that information. I'm sure it's there somewhere, but seeing as it's in French, it's not coming too quick. So there's some really good illustrations in it, and the chapters are short, and the text is big. Let's see if I can hold that up for you. And it's in French, and the goal was for all of us to just have a fun little book club time reading in French. Ryan, being fluent, helped Phoebe and I, who are trying to improve our fluency. And this is a story about Charlotte, who's sort of an angry preteen, early teen. Her parents are still able to ground her or control her computer and her cell phone. And so she's got into some sort of trouble, and she stomps off. She goes to the mall because she wants to play a computer game. She's stolen her mom's device of some sort and is playing the game there and doesn't realize that the mall has closed. So the mall, we're on about page 25, and the mall has closed. She's there by herself, and I guess something's going to happen with the mannequins. So we're going to continue reading this probably through Zoom somehow. We'll probably do, a little book club night and just continue to read it the way we did in Amsterdam. We had some wine. There was one couch for 6 people. And the video that I did that had no sound because I'm a dum-dum. Anyhow, I showed people the floor plan. So if this is the floor plan of the main space, we've got this counter edge here, which was the kitchen, and this would be the door to the bathroom. And then there was this little spot right here. That was the kitchen table. And then right there was the back end of the couch. And so when the couch came out to be a double bed for Phoebe and Zachary, that was the end of the room. And Ryan and Autumn had a room this way, and Steve and I had a room this way, and Phoebe and Zachary were just such good sports. They had people going in and out of their bedroom to get to and from the bathroom, or to make coffee in the middle of the morning. Nobody woke up at the same time. Somehow we did not get into any fights. Everybody stayed super calm, and everybody was super graceful and gracious. And anyhow, this was a good book. I recommend it, and it comes from that French bookstore in Ottawa who do mail orders. So if you're interested in getting any kind of French books, I wonder if my previous video I wrote that down. I'll try to remember to add that to the information below, the name of the bookstore. So if you want to do mail order with them, you can. Okay, the other thing that I am currently reading, because of all the things that have been going on, I just have had a bit of a reading slump in terms of my own books. That's mostly to do with timing. You know, I don't want to read a really thick, heavy classic book, and there's a couple of rereads in there, and there's a couple that I'm saving for the summer. So this little TBR pile was not a great place to go trolling for books. And then over, can you see it? You can't even see it. It's just off site there. Let me just see if I can turn that. That pile there, that's all nonfiction. And, sometimes nonfiction is really intriguing, and sometimes you think, yawny. This is nonfiction, and I am loving it. It's called An African History of Africa, From the Dawn of Humanity to Independence. It's by Zeinab Badwi, and she is just such a good writer. The amount of research that she's done with this, and the people that she's approached for supporting her research, it's really interesting. And right now, I am in the Eritrea, Ethiopia part of Africa. So there is a map. I would say that my only quibble is the maps. So we've got a fairly decent map here. I am reading, I'm somewhere over here. This part is where the book is starting, because it's close to Arabic lands, Saudi Arabia, and so on. So there's a certain amount of cultural crossover. The Red Sea is right there. I feel that each chapter, or even more within each chapter, there could be more detailed maps, but what I've done is pulled out my own two atlases, which I love an atlas. I don't know about you guys, but I love a book of maps. And the one is from my high school days, so that's got to be published from somewhere in the 70s, maybe the 80s, I'm not positive. And the other one is the New Concise World Atlas. I can see them from here. They're on my footstool. And so it's been kind of fun comparing the different choices that the publishers or the drawers of the maps have made in terms of what information is included and not included, and what the book itself, maps, includes in terms of, sometimes they've got general world history or politics or, world religions, that kind of thing. That information is included as well sometimes. So I've been rediscovering where the Nile is. It is not, and the Amazon is in South America, and it doesn't run north-south the way the Mississippi does. I always thought it did, but it's east-west. And the Nile is not the Red Sea. Like, I completely forgot that the Red Sea even existed. I just thought it was the Nile. Everybody's always talking about the Nile, so anyways, I'm not the best as far as geography goes. And both those atlases include the Suez Canal, which is not part of this story yet. Maybe not at all. So one of the parts that I really enjoy about this book is if you guys like me have done history reading and about Constantinople or the Byzantium era or the rise of different religions, Christianity in particular takes place out around Constantinople, and making relationships between what's happening in Rome, Europe, Constantinople, then when the Arabs come in and do their bit, and the Visigoths come in and do their bit, and Rome's collapsed. And so like there's all these reference points that have to do with Western civilization. But quite often you will know that in the courts of Constantinople, there will be visiting African kings, for instance. It's these guys. And these well, I mean, I haven't finished the book, but let's just say Egypt, we kind of know about through Tutankhamun, but there's stuff that's happening in Eritrea and Ethiopia that there's much more shifting of information and technology and cultural things, religious things on a sort of north-south curve. And because the Red Sea isn't that big, there's also this cross-pollination across the Red Sea. And so it's just been fascinating to find out who are the other people who were at these courts and who were players in terms of who would support what wars. And, you know, they were always sending armies to each other's fights and what have you. See, I also learned about the Queen of Sheba, who is not a fictional character, and a few other things. So what the author does do from time to time is put it in context of what's happening with respect to Rome. I think that makes a lot of sense because, you know, Rome was the big guy on the European side. So occasionally you'll say that Caesar is doing this while so-and-so over here is doing that. So it gives you that other timeline to look at. I think this is one of the best nonfiction books that I've come across, notwithstanding the one that I really love about Lapidarium and the history of color is another variant. So those, and the other one that I really love is something about dinosaurs. I guess maybe I should do a video on my 5 most favorite nonfiction books in the last little while. Anyhow, this is a complete solid. I think it's really great, especially you can pick it up, put it down, and you don't lose track of things, because if something significant happened in Egypt in the 500s, she does do us the favor of giving a small little reference back, not a whole paragraph. She doesn't rewrite the whole thing, but she will remind you gently that such and such a thing took place in Egypt, and so you can keep the timelines going. So completely recommend. Okay. The other thing I was going to talk to you about a little bit was Amsterdam. And one of the things also on the topic of maps is I got this map. And Steve actually suggested it. He's so smart. He knows how much I hate the Google Maps. And people will sometimes screenshot Google Map or something. It's useless. This is published by Borch, Borch, and it's just the city of Amsterdam. There's a little inset that gives you a concentrated view of Amsterdam on the back, and then there's also a little inset that gives you Amsterdam sort of relative to its neighboring cities. This is laminated, so great, so that it kept holding its folds. It didn't tear it any kind of way. Also, it was great in the rain. And also, I could draw on it. So everybody else is, sliding their Google devices and they're trying to get where this is. This is that old-fashioned map where, it's numbered across and it's lettered down. So you can go to the index on the back and you can go and look up the oldest kirk, the old Oude Kerk, it's called, the old church. And you can tell you that it's on F2. So you go to F2, and then you can circle it, and you go, is that the Oude Kerk? No, that's something else. But, it stayed. So everybody else is Googling around, and I'm like, I've already circled it. I know where it is. We just have to take the number 7 bus, because it tells you the bus lines too. And it tells you where it is in relationship to the canals, and it also has got a scale on here somewhere. Each square is about 500 meters. So you can figure, that's going to be about a 20-minute walk. Yeah, Google gives you some of that information, but unless you've got a big screen, you have to make everything really small to try and figure out, okay, what bus am I going to be on? Then you got to make it bigger again to figure out, okay, that's the bus stop, and where is that bus stop in relationship to where I'm going? And it's all right here. I don't have to embiggen things. I don't have to make things small, and it fits in my purse. And if there's really a problem, I've even got a rain cap, and I can put it and sit on it if the chair is wet. Like, it's just brilliant. So I wasn't in charge of any decision, but I think, and don't tell them, I think I knew where we were going long before anybody else did, because they would just chat about it, yakety yak yak. They were obviously having a lot of fun with their little devices and their map skills, such as they were. Now, we got where we were supposed to go, but I also just knew that I didn't know exactly where I was going, because, my kids are really great at taking charge. And so I think they forget that I actually have a brain every once in a while. And so they just treat me a little bit like the puppy at the end of the leash. Come on, Mom. And I think, I know where I'm going. Plus, I'd been to Amsterdam before, twice. And so I thought, I kind of know the city enough. And anyways, I wasn't quite as desperately lost and forlorn as they seemed to think I was. So we had a great time. The food was amazing. We did Indonesian food. Indonesian is part of my family heritage. My godmother married an Indonesian gentleman, and their son also, keeps up the Indonesian food traditions. And, he recommended a couple of places to go eat. Oh, that food, if you ever get a chance to eat Indonesian, you have to. It's so good and so different from Thai and Vietnamese. It's just completely different, but just the yummies of the yummies. We also had some traditional Dutch food, which I never think too much of. Was it really traditional Dutch? I guess it was kind of traditional tourist Dutch. We got the apple pancakes, and they're these little they're called poffertjes, which kind of means puffy ball, and it's pancake mix too, but I think there's baking soda in it, so it puffs up into these tiny little balls, and then icing sugar and butter, and you can also add more things. It's kind of like beaver tails, Beaver tails are basically an insane pancake with Nutella. These were different, but the same. We went on a canal tour around, and that was fun. The kids had a blast. I remember we were going to go to the Rijksmuseum, and everybody's going, no, we only have like 2 hours tops, Mom. We're not going to be there all day. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're going to really want to do this. You're going to be there all day. And they're like, no, can't. We've had enough museums. We want to just keep going. So we saw the part that we wanted to see, which was men's tailoring of costumes, clothing from the sort of like 1500s to 1700s, which Ryan and myself, Phoebe and I, we all sew, so we were really interested in that. And the guys were surprisingly interested in it. And then the next part was ships. And Phoebe and Steve really, really like boats and ships and sailing, but it's just so interestingly displayed, and there were other things that were adjacent to shipping, like how they got canals dredged and so on. And so I think it was about noon, and I said to Steve, I have to stop. I have to have something to eat and drink and need to rest for a while. And so the kids are just like, we need to keep going because we want to be out of here in 2 hours. And so 3 hours have already passed. Steve and I have this nice little lunch. Autumn joins us, and we've got this really nice little lunch going. The other three are off, just carrying on. 6 hours later, they're all going, oh, we didn't mean to do that. Now, it was the day that I was feeling really sick, so it's hilarious. It was the one of the two things that I most wanted to do was the Rijksmuseum, and all I could do was hang around in the main court and just kind of like go, oh my God. And it was a really bad head cold, and I was in a lot of sinus pain, so I was just doing a little bit of sketching and writing and sleeping whenever the guard wasn't looking. So we had quite different events at the Rijksmuseum. I thought it was pretty funny. We went out to another place, which I hopefully have some shows, images for you. The Zaanse Schans, I think it was called, which is sort of, I'm not sure how much is reproduction and how much is original, but it has the windmills and the old homes and some businesses, so cheese factories and restaurants, and windmills that did the grinding of wood or spices or the different minerals and gems and so forth for paints, paint pigment. So we only went, Zachary, Ryan, Steve, and myself went and did that because that was Ryan. What did I say? Steve, myself, Zachary, and Phoebe did that. Ryan and Autumn were having their bad sick head day. So we all had to take a day off somewhere along the way for this head cold. It was pretty little sharp thing, but luckily it was only a couple days long. So hopefully there's some footage coming your way. I'm not sure what it contains. I'll try and do pictures that last for longer than a couple of seconds so you can see other things. And I guess that's it for me. I think the reading slump is over. I think it's just a question now of picking the pace back up. And yeah, I should be able to have some interesting, fun stuff for you next week. I hope all your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true and that you enjoy the videos and footage from Amsterdam. Bye-bye for now.